what's going on, everybody? I'm Bebe. This is the I-71 Playbook Podcast. With me this week, as always, is BC.
Good to see you, Bebe. Happy Sunday night as we were recording
Happy
this.
Sunday night.
After another Browns. I'm out of words. At least I'm not. At least I'm not apathetic.
I have words.
At least I'm still angry. I'm still angry.
I have words. You don't let me say them on the pod, but I have words.
We are going to attempt to keep this at least PG-13, and that does not mean one F-bomb per pod.
Oh, then I have to figure out where the one F-bomb is going to go.
I don't think that's how YouTube works, to be honest with you.
No, I don't think it is either. And also my spicy sentence enhancers are literally, it's like Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything. Like it's just everywhere. Absolutely.
So, how about them Browns?
How about them Browns?
Let me ask you this question. Let's start off with this. Did you watch every snap of the game?
No.
Okay.
I'm gonna be really honest here, and this is gonna make me a bad host. Did not watch the game today. I actually had a engagement where I was out peopling and had to play nice. But I had the Gamecast going on my phone. So it was kind of funny. It was like a role reversal. So you typically, if you're at a function, typically it's the man who has the phone out, who's checking the game scores or who's watching the game. In my case, it was me today. And my person just kind of looked over at the table with me and he just kind of shook his head and laughed at me and just knew what I was doing. But I was like, look, now I have to do it's research. Now it's homework. I have to.
So this may make you a bad host, but it also makes you a lucky host. Because it was one of those painful ones.
Oh yeah.
It really was. It was, it's bad enough it's the Steelers, but it's also bad enough knowing that you are 3 or 4 ridiculous plays away from winning that game.
Yeah.
And it feels like that's the encapsulation of the season since Jameis has taken over. We're 3 or 4 ridiculous plays from him being 5-1 as a starter.
And we saw it, we saw it Monday night.
Yeah. It doesn't stop.
But here's the problem that we have. So even if we are 3 or 4 good plays away from a spectacular moment, we have a huge problem, and it is a growing problem. Like it's not getting better. And that's Dustin Hopkins. I'm sorry.
He's not flying high.
Kid.
You would think a Hopkins in Cleveland would be flying high, and sorry, terrible pun. But
that's why they want to move to Brook Park.
There you go. And I'm still thinking about
the street.
I was actually sharing with some friends last night your rant about the Haslam zone in the crew and why we can't get a kicker. And then Dustin Hopkins goes out and misses 2 today. And it's just like, I'm not even confident he's going to kick an extra point.
Jimmy, again, for the love of Phil Dawson, okay? 1, what is he doing? 2, we love to pull guys back off the couch.
I believe
Flacco, hey, we miss you.
I think isn't he coaching high school football in Texas?
Is he really?
I think he is. I think like in retirement he's coaching high school football in Texas. So
can we just flash the goalpost sign in the sky and Phil, we need you, buddy?
So we know. Okay, so once again, pie in the sky. This pod takes off. Life is great. We know that the Cleveland Browns front office is watching the media and watching local podcasts. Like, we know this for a fact. This is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have inside information on that, but I can't exactly share it.
On the rare chance that we figure out how to post this to YouTube and we get it rolling this week, I like to talk to Jimmy and D Haslam. JW, maybe you're the one, maybe you're the mole. Paul DePodesta, I mean, you're probably sitting in San Diego right now, just, sitting on 12, 14 mil a year, chief strategy audit officer, whatever that is. I'm going to help my friend BB here because our podcast is called the I-71 podcast, the I-71 Playbook podcast. And taking from that playbook, in Berea, it's really amazing. You're 5 minutes away from I-71. And if you go and you're heading out Berea and you see the I-71 and you go south, the first thing you see is I-71 south to Columbus. Go visit the crew. Go find one of those kids that, playing for the crew right now. They want that NFL money. They'll learn how to kick. They'll learn how to kick a football.
At this point, I'll take the water boy. I don't care. Like, I'm gonna do a throwback here. Okay, we're gonna jump in the podcast Wayback Machine.
Let's get into DeLorean. Let's do the.
DeLorean.
Let's get into TARDIS. Let's do it.
We're gonna go back to 2018.
Oh, okay. Pre-pandemic days. Them were the days.
It was pre-pandemic. Walmart was open 24 hours.
The days.
The world was our oyster. It really was. But we're going to talk about a game on September the 16th, I believe it was, 2018. So we're going to go back a little bit. Our kicker on the day, game against the New Orleans Saints. Our kicker was Zane Gonzalez. Don't worry, nobody else remembers his name either. Trust me.
Yeah, pre-pod you asked me that, and I honestly failed. I failed that one.
I could not remember his name, but I remember this game very clearly, and I remember the conversation you and I had after this game because it came another one of my rants, and I believe your words were just, wow. So when you answer wow to one of my rants, be it football, political, anything, that's either really, really good or I've gone too far and, well, I don't care.
And actually, it's usually both. It's usually great and too far. To our podcasting audience, I just want you to know we've been talking Cleveland sports for almost a decade now, which is crazy. We just now thought to do a pod because we've been having these conversations literally via text for a decade.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
But so that game, Zane Gonzalez goes 2 for 4 on field goals. And 0 for 2 on extra point attempts.
Now, question before you get into this, because I know once you get rolling, I didn't want to cut you off. Remind me, had they moved the extra point attempt back 15 yards at that point? So it was they were still kicking from they were still snapping from the 3. Oh, okay, yeah, that's a lot of context I think we all needed. Okay.
I believe so. I could be wrong. I believe so, but
carry on, partner.
So anyway, so he is 0 for 2 on extra points, 2 for 4 on field goals. Browns end up losing that game by 3 points. Now, there was a very, very infuriating photo that was splashed across the screen during the game, and this is what kicked off the rant. You see Zane Gonzalez sitting on the bench, his head in his hands, and he's actually crying. You actually see the tears. So in context at the time, everyone's just thinking that he's hard on himself, that, I would say he's kicking himself, but clearly he didn't kick anything that day. Oops. But
truth.
Come to find out, hashtag truth. Come to find out, he was actually cut mid-game on the sidelines after missing, I want to say it was the final field goal attempt.
That's cold.
That would have literally tied the game and sending it to overtime. Cut right there on the field. So just throwing that out there that, if you happen to go 2 for 4 on field goals, or if you go 0 for everything on extra point attempts, you may get a phone call. I'm not, I'm Sicilian, but I'm not threatening anyone by any means. I'm just saying it's clearly happened in Browns history before, and as the world is telling us now, history can repeat itself.
So,
Have a good night, Dustin.
Here's my question to you. Okay.
Okay.
You're Andrew Barry. Okay. Seems like a good dude, smart dude, Ivy League guy. And you're looking at the draft order.
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting with 3 wins the day you were sitting 8th because you had the hardest strength of schedule.
Mm-hmm.
We're obviously going to move down, better draft position. Do you just ride with Dustin Hopkins? I'm watching the game. I have zero confidence guy's going to kick a field goal. And after the second one, it kind of dawned on me, this is the strategy. They're trying. They're not throwing it. The guy's got the yips. Let's ride with them. Let's get that draft pick. Still looks like we're trying. Just saying. Conspiracy, maybe. And it's 2024. So if we're talking things 2024, I'm throwing conspiracies out there.
To that, I mean, I know you've mentioned, is it the yips? It's been steadily declining as the season's gone on. At this point in the season, literally, you're 3-10, and your season literally is a wash. At this point, I say we ride it out with him because, one, I don't think we can teach Bojorquez to be more than a punter for us.
And let's not try because he is the shining star of the Browns special teams. He's it.
Right. So if he's putting the special in the special teams, then let's leave it be. However, ride it out with Dustin Hopkins because I did see Kevin Stefanski's press conference today. I did catch the video on that. And of course, first question is, will you be changing your kicker? And I've seen the face before. We've all seen the face before. And just answers no. Now, going back real quick, and I don't want to get too into it, but this man has had to be trotted out in front of press after games that he's been absolutely blown out in, shown absolutely no fight, no promise, whatever, because we had our $250,000 toddler baby. But he has to say things. He has to. And it's not necessarily a Marshawn situation where I'm just here so I don't catch a fine. He literally has been handed a script and has to say, this is what you have to say. Are you changing your quarterbacks? No, we think he's the best chance that we have to win. Absolutely not. No, are you changing your kicker? No, he's the best chance we have to win. But you can see on his face, and I feel this. Kev, if you ever hear this, my guy, I feel this. My face also needs an inside voice. If you don't believe the line of BS that you're selling, then we are not going to be able to believe it either. And Cleveland fans, we can pretty much believe anything. Maybe.
So, staying on special teams, we'll see. We'll see where I'm 99.9% sure that Dustin Hopkins will be kicking for the Browns next week. Against Kansas City, by the way. Against the Chiefs are coming to Cleveland. And I'm trying to decide if I want to sell those tickets because I probably will sell. I mean, there's going to be some Swiftie out there that wants my seats. Or do I actually go up and see, one of the greatest, this generation's dynasty, and plus, Kelsey's there, Kelsey's a Cleveland guy. I'm a fan, but
Taylor's not coming to Cleveland, honey. I'm sorry.
You never know. You never know. So
make her a friendship bracelet just in case.
So speaking of special teams, which that is probably the biggest oxymoron on the Browns this year because those teams have not been special. We got to talk about a guy that came up from the practice squad today. I think you know where I'm heading.
We have to.
A guy who he was available after playing for said Kansas City Chiefs and winning a Super Bowl because of, I guess the nicest way to put boneheaded moves. We're going to keep this thing PG. Kadarius Toney, I'm talking to you, man.
Stonehands.
I understand that there's injuries. I understand that the receiver room's a little thin right now. But if you didn't see the game, I actually was listening to it on the radio at this moment, and Andrew Siciliano, dude, hats off. Like you are trying to follow up on Jim Donovan, and I think he's doing a great job. Zagura's always money, but Siciliano was as dumbfounded as I was as the listener, and that just made us more fun. Kadarius Toney fair catches the ball, a punt. They're down 2 scores. They still have time. He fair catches a punt in the fourth quarter. They go to commercial. The Browns have it 1st and 10 at the 35. They come back from commercial. It's 1st and 10 from the 20. What had happened that the cameras, I don't even know if the cameras picked it up on CBS. Kadarius Toney got flagged for taunting. Actually, at this point, they were down 20. They had not scored the second one. So the Browns are down 20 in the fourth quarter. Dude fair catches the ball, does his job, and costs his team 15 yards for taunting. Now, if that weren't enough of the circus that he would make the fourth quarter, the Browns get within a touchdown. 2 touchdowns, I'm sorry. They get within 2 scores. Mm-hmm. Punt. If I say he strolled backwards, he was definitely not on the hop here to do this. He calls for a fair punt or fair catch. Punt hits his hands. He fumbles it. He then does not attempt to go after the ball. Just stands there. Pittsburgh gets it, and that's game. The game is over. So Kadarius Toney, if Dustin Hopkins is a strategy, Kadarius Toney, his time on the Browns, would aid to that. Hey, look, we're trying, but we're losing game culture that they seem to be fomenting right now in Berea. I've never seen anything like it. As a former coach, a former athlete myself, like if I saw like if that were me, if I'm your boy Kevin, or I'm a special teams coordinator, whoever, that guy never ever, like, I take his uniform right there and just send him home. But anyway, maybe it's a strategy. There's all these drones flying around the world right now, and people are reporting on it. And is it our government? Is it the Chinese? Is it UFOs? UAPs? I think Kadarius Toney and Dustin Hopkins are part of a bigger plot to get a better draft pick and not look like they're trying to lose. Just my thoughts. Sorry.
So
Baby.
My thoughts on Kadarius Toney. So Kadarius Toney actually used to be a bit of an inside joke in my house for a while. So when he was with Kansas City and spectacularly doing Kadarius Toney things.
Yeah, unfortunately, Northeast Ohioans have not had. We talk about the full Jameis. We're getting the full Kadarius right now because this was happening in Kansas City. Yeah,
it was day one.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So at least he's consistent and he's authentic. So you know what? To a point, I appreciate it. I can applaud it. But anyway, so he's with Kansas City, and it was an inside joke where he would be a target or something like that, and good old Stonehands comes out, and he was like, "Hey, Kadarius, hey." So now he was a joke, and then the Browns picked him up. And the way I didn't hear about it at first, I didn't catch the breaking news alert. My partner did, and he literally, both have big people jobs from home. He is working in the living room. I have my own office. He sends me a message from the living room. That's the alert that says the Browns are signing Kadarius Toney. And of course, what does he say to me? Hey, Kadarius,
It could-
hey. And the joke wasn't funny anymore. Now it wasn't funny because now it's my problem. And technically, it's going to be his problem too because he deals with me. But beside the point. I just, I don't think you're wrong or you're far off with the fact that they're tanking, but they're not tanking. So like but see, on that turn though, you know, I can see it. I can see the the strategy behind it. But they are still trying to a certain point.
Oh yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like,
You
if
know,
the guys are playing. Like, there's effort. Nick Chubb is playing. Myles Garrett is playing. Denzel Ward is playing his butt off. Jameis is trying. Like, the offensive line is like, there is effort. I wondered after the Chargers game. That was a game where I was like, these guys quit. But since that game, like, they have been motivated. And when you have a motivated group and you don't want to think you're throwing in the towel, oh God, by the way, terrible towel. Like,
I hate those. Like, yeah.
I just hate Pittsburgh. Like, I just hate Pittsburgh. Anyway, despite that, I'm watching Hard Knocks right now, and it's driving me insane that I like want to go to war for Mike Tomlin. Watching him on that show, I like he's a star on that show. I don't know if you've watched Hard Knocks, AFC North. Episode 1, Tomlin's the star, and it was very heavy Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. But tangent off. The Hard Knocks, I watched the first episode tonight after the Browns game, and something happened that really upset me.
Yeah?
Yeah. I want to run through a wall for Mike Tomlin. That dude is him. Like, he is the star of the show. Now, once again, preceding last week's Steelers-Bengals game, it was heavily Steelers-Bengals. But Mike Tomlin is the star. It was the star of that show, and I can see why just guys love him. As a former athlete, you can feel the gravitas. You can feel just the personality, and that guy's the dude. Like, seriously, and I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And what I think I hate more is Pittsburgh fans saying after they go one and done in the playoffs, oh, we got to get rid of Mike Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's the problem. No, the problem is your front office can't get a quarterback. That's your problem. Tomlin is not your problem. Give me Mike Tomlin every day for the Browns.
They've also got a problem with, receivers that have more ego than talent, but that's a whole different pod. But
I'm sorry. Hold on. My hamstring is slightly twinged because I don't want to be covered by Greg Newsome. Sorry. Anyway. Who ducks Greg Newsome? No offense. Like, Greg Newsome, probably a great guy, but who's ducking him?
The same guy who said in the press this week leading up to today's game that he doesn't really know who Greg Newsome is.
Well, right. He knew enough not to get embarrassed by him again this week.
Exactly. But no, I understand what you're saying. Tomlin is entertaining, and he is that kind of guy that you want to run through a wall for. I have seen a clip from Hard Knocks. Again, COVID has spoiled me because I cannot watch episodic television.
I knew where that was going.
And it's, and we grew up where it was like, all right, you've got a 30-second commercial break to either go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen and get a snack and a drink and then be back before the show comes back on, So now that I don't have to have that and I can just pause or I can watch multiple episodes at a time. But anyway, I did see a clip from the Browns segment, and I want to say it is someone on our offensive coaching team. And they're, he's drilling it into the offensive line guys that you protect your chief, you protect him no matter what.
I just saw this scene tonight. I just saw the scene.
I saw a comment on it, and I had to laugh because I am a dual football fan. I've been a Detroit Lions fan literally since I was like 11 years old. So I grew up watching the Lions. I grew up watching the Browns because when I was growing up and up until a couple of years ago, they were the Browns of the North, you know? So, but now you have Dan Campbell, who, again, you want to talk about a guy who makes you run through a wall. Like, that would be Dan Campbell.
But
I
by the way,
saw a comment.
I'm so sorry. By the way, sidebar. The other day I had Get Up on, and the question the panel was talking about was, is Dan Campbell's coaching style effective?
Clearly.
I would say 11-1, playoffs last year, almost a trip to the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure that I can moonlight as a producer for ESPN. I'm pretty sure I can pull that off with equal effectiveness. But anyway, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay. But so this comment that I saw under the Browns coordinator, who is, you know, hyping up his guys and making them want to go to war, it was, this is terrible, but it's hilarious. They called him a great value Dan Campbell. And I'm like, you know what? I can kind of see it though.
Aldi's Dan.
Aldi's.
Wow.
Wish version of Dan Campbell. You're not wrong, but at the same time, you're not exactly right either. But now in future coming pods, you know, we're gonna have some fun segments and things like that. But real quick, in a move that surprises absolutely no one at all, the Browns made a business decision today, and I say business decision, to place Jed Wills on the IR yet again. At this point, is he getting like frequent flyer miles? Is there a punch card that he has? Like,
So I've been thinking about this. Can we go down my conspiracy rabbit hole again?
Quickly.
Because we have the Dustin Hopkins, Kadarius Toney, you know, purposely throwing the season. You know, they're by putting them out there. Yeah, not looking like you're throwing the season. Jed Wills. Is this a trial run for Deshaun Watson next year? We're going to pay you, but you ain't coming to the facility. Now, I don't know if you heard Cleveland Browns Daily this past week. You know, obviously, when we're looking at the bigger picture of the Browns, and you know, I'll talk about my depression here in a second with the team. Deshaun Watson, we're talking Nathan Segura, and I think it's important that everybody knows, in case they don't. Cleveland Browns Daily is produced, is bankrolled. It actually is filmed in Berea at the headquarters. Nathan Segura, Bo Bishop, who do a fantastic job on that show, are paid employees of the Cleveland Browns radio network. Segura, and I'm not going to quote him, but basically alluded to the fact that Deshaun Watson was not in their future next year. He said, you know, we don't know what the answer is. He said something like, we don't know what the answer at quarterback is. We know what it's not. And so when, you know, Jed Wills was, you know, not dressed, and now sent home, I just wonder if, you know, they're just kind of getting the old playbook open for how they're going to handle Deshaun Watson next year, because they're going to have to keep him on the 52-man, because that's like what, $140 million cap hit next year or something ridiculous. And I'm no capologist, but that's a lot of money. And I would imagine, I just saw today that they were expecting the cap to go up to 255, 260 next year, I believe. So that being said, you know, that's a big chunk of the cap. So he will be on the 52 next year, but I don't think we're going to see him at the Greenbrier.
God, I hope not. Here's the thing about Jed Wills. I like the kid. I do. But when you are brought in to do a job and you are paid quite well to do a job, and you cannot do one of two things, either which is do that job effectively, or if you cannot stay healthy. And it's kind of 6 of one and half a dozen of the other with Jed. I think it is time that we move on. I mean, we need to definitely restructure the O-line.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's always been a problem with the Browns.
There was a play today, in the last couple of years when you're running Nick Chubb at 100% and Kareem Hunt out there in the last couple of years. They pulled the guard in the center, which so it was Batonio and Pochik, and they pulled them. And normally, by the way, per our old discussion, to the short side of the field on a pitch. Just throwing it out there. I know there's short side of the field play that didn't work. Ethan Pochik just got lit up, like just got driven back, and he blew up the play, getting pushed backwards. And I'm just like, I was at that point. I was like, yeah, the line they need to address this line, because these guys aren't it anymore. Whether it's the system, whatever it is, they were getting pushed back. And they have been, and that's why they can't run the ball. Once again, not Nick Chubb's fault.
It is not Chubb's fault, but I do agree. I think you actually hit the nail on the head, truthfully, with the play isn't working, and because they've completely redesigned their whole offensive mindset to try and cater to the $230 million baby. And now that he's not a factor, I think we need to go back to...
Every time you say that, I just see Hilary Swank. I don't know why I keep making that connection, but anyway.
Because I can't say what I normally call him.
Those are the Pod's guardrails there.
Baby is not allowed to call him what she normally calls him in any other conversation.
By the way, not wishing away the football season, but I can't wait for our off-season pods when we get into the Browns guardrails. It's gonna be epic. Okay.
Yeah. So I do think they need to rethink. Unfortunately, they need to blow up the offense in the off season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, we went last year, went to 2 rounds of the playoffs, and offense wasn't the problem. So now you throw everything out the window. You bring in Dorsey. You cater to a style that fits only your quarterback, that even your head coach is not a fan of, clearly. And you wonder why you're struggling offensively.
Yeah, and that's I was talking earlier. I guess it's good I'm not apathetic right now. Like, I still care about this team. I still want this team to succeed because there are Browns, and I'm not going to say how long you've been rooting for the Browns, but it's been close to 50 years for me. What has me I don't want to say worried, but kind of depressed is Jameis's play. We just, the one thing is clear after today, he's not the guy. I know people want to get excited because he, every other game he throws it around the yard and stuff. But he could have thrown 5 picks today instead of just 2. He could have thrown, he could have easily thrown five interceptions. 4 of those were just terrible decisions on his part. One was a terrible throw, the last interception that went over Moore's head. But I have no solution what they can do at quarterback next year. The draft doesn't look good. I don't think they'll be able to draft Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. And I really want Kevin Stefanski to have a chance to actually get a quarterback that he chooses and develop him, because he has not had that chance in his career. Even as an assistant in Minnesota, he worked wonders for Kirk Cousins and got him paid a couple times. He had Baker rolling in 2020. Baker gets hurt. He is given Deshaun. He has to groom, Jacoby Brissett. Year 2, Deshaun's out again. Joe Flacco. Year 3, Deshaun's out again. Jameis. I'd love to see him get a quarterback. I'm not a draft guru. I'm not Mel Kiper, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot of talent coming out of the draft unless you get one of those top two. I don't think the Browns are going to be there because I think the Browns will win a couple more games. And so what do you do? What do you do? Because I don't know the solution, and next year is really looking bleak.
So what I think we would have to do is I think we got to roll with DTR. I mean, he's going into his third season in the league next year. We really don't know what he can do.
So if you do that, he's got to play next week. Like, he has to start the rest of the season.
He's got to start getting some reps in.
Yeah, like we know what Jameis is. We know through our conspiracy theories what the goal in Berea is. Put the kid in there. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt like he keeps getting hurt every time we roll him out there.
Well, yeah, that's the problem too. Is he gets
he's reckless.
Put him out there and he gets blasted.
He's reckless. Like, I mean, he does not care for himself. He doesn't slide. He tries. And once again, he's a gamer. I don't ever want to take that out of somebody. But you're also an NFL quarterback. You got to protect the brand there.
Right. It's not Madden. The hits actually hurt.
Kevin. Right. And so if we do what you say and you bring DTR, he's got to play next week. Or at the least, you throw Jameis against the Super Bowl champs, and then DTR starts the last couple games of the year because you got to know what you have in them. And right. I'm just not confident they have an answer on that roster right now. And I don't know where the answer comes from.
Well, unfortunately, with the loss in Pittsburgh, I do believe that the Browns are officially out of playoff contention. I don't believe it's official. I think it's like actually mathematically, like just an impossibility. But fun little segue. Who's not out of playoff contention after a wild couple of weeks in college football? The Ohio State Buckeyes. We're actually hosting a playoff game, so that'll be fun.
So what are we looking at? 2 Saturdays?
2 Saturdays.
And
2 Saturdays we finally get an 8:00 game.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw
second of the season.
I don't know if you saw the Ohio State Athletic Office actually had a meme, and it was a guy and it said noon start, and he was breaking chains, which hats off to them. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah.
Like, I'm not even mad. That's impressive.
No. Oh no, it was very funny. Yeah. So you got the SEC coming up here. It always feels good that you could be an SEC team. I'm kind of glad. They have the hardest road, I think, to a national championship because the winner of that game goes and plays Oregon at the Rose Bowl. Mm-hmm. So that's a West Coast game against the best. I mean, after watching last night, Oregon is clearly the best team in the nation. I don't think anybody can argue that. We'll obviously get more into that game next week as the Buckeyes are getting prep. But I mean, this has to be make or break for Ryan Day, right?
It is, because this was a prove-it year for him.
Yeah.
He literally had 4 objectives to saving his job at Ohio State. Beat Michigan, Big Ten champs, college football playoff, national title. So, when you've got 4 objectives that you are you need to hit. And again, we can get all into that next week when it'll be more Buckeyes. But when you're not performing at that, and there's something I got to talk about, and I don't want to talk horribly about our fellow Big Ten teams. I got to do it. I saw a sound clip as I was doing prep for tonight, and I'm warm. I am very spicy right now.
So you're talking sound clip from a different Big Ten school.
Correct.
I'd have to imagine for this to be relevant, this is a playoff team.
They are indeed, for the first time, I believe, in like ever.
Does this have to do with the Hoosiers?
Sure does.
Yes. Nailed it.
Well, you did nail it, so maybe we can get you as a kicker in Berea. Maybe we'll talk about it.
I one time.
I had to.
Real quick. I was the Stanton Middle School 7th grade punter, and true story.
Jimmy,
my up block.
Jimmy, he's in your backyard, buddy.
My blocker in front of me.
For a hot dog and a case of beer. Call him.
I had a high snap. I did a great job of pulling it down to punt it. The guy in front of me blocking got blocked into me, and I kicked him right in the rear end. True story.
He's physical. Jimmy.
Tamar Davis, if you're watching the pod, dude, I still feel bad about this moment. Anyway, Indiana.
Indiana. Good old Kurt Loudmouth Cignetti. So here's where I'm going to start. Cignetti comes in to Indiana this season, and as much as nobody really wants to talk about it, it's actually a thing. You know, you want to talk about when parents have multiple children, they'll never actually come out and physically say that they have a favorite child. They have a favorite child. However, you and I are both only children, so we're the only option. We are the favorite children.
It was good being number one.
It does. But in the Big Ten, before it turned into the Big 18, but you know, when you and I were growing up, the Big Ten, there's definitely tiers within the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
So you've got teams that are you're not strong teams, which statistically have been like Rutgers, have been like Northwestern, have been Purdue. Although Schiano has kind of given Rutgers a little bit of some teeth.
Yeah. Respectable program.
Now it's become like kind of a respectable program, but then you had like, you've had Maryland, you've had Nebraska, Minnesota. You know, you've had these teams that with a decent senior class, they're okay. But you know, when that leaves, then you got to kind of rebuild it again.
They'll be bowl eligible.
They'll be bowl eligible.
7 to 8 wins. Yeah.
Right. You know, so they'll keep it competitive, and then you've got kind of your upper echelon teams, which you know, would be for the longest time your Wisconsins, your Ohio States, your Michigans, your Penn States. You know, so those are constantly, you know, high ranked, big accolades. So it's just, it's not an official scale. It's just kind of always the way that those programs have gone. Now with the portal and NIL deals, that can clearly change at any given time. So now Indiana has always kind of been in that like mid to lower tier, unfortunately, just because that's the way that's always worked. You get Kurt Cignetti that comes in, and they start winning games. And they start winning games by a lot. Kind of. So, you know, the constant thing that I hear is, well, we beat Nebraska 56-7, and Ohio State struggled, and we should be ranked higher than them. Okay, so bring it in real close, because we're gonna talk about this. Just gonna be a friendly little chat. This season, Indiana had a strength of schedule of 106.
By the way, can I add to that?
Go ahead.
Before they played Ohio State, it was 110. They play Ohio State. That strength of schedule goes to 52. And that one, like, literally cut their strength of schedule in half. Mm-hmm. They play Purdue, and they're...
Was it 106?
106, yeah. So they went up 50 points in strength of schedule and then dropped 50 spots in strength of schedule in 2 weeks.
So the first thing, you know, Cignetti is, to put this in somewhat sports terms, I'll go sports entertainment terms maybe. dude can cut a promo. He's great on a mic. He can get you energized. He can, he's loud. He's brash. Google him, whatever. So they're ranked, I want to say, 9th in the CFP right now.
I think Tennessee was 9. I want to say they were 10 or 11.
Okay. So
they were actually ranked lower. Ohio State was 8. So I know they were ranked lower than Ohio State.
So
maybe. I'm going to do a little research while you're talking.
Go ahead. I love this. Fact check me. I know that they're towards the bottom of the bracket. So Cignetti comes out and says that, because they're Indiana and they're not Michigan, that's why they're ranked where they are. And he doesn't feel that it's fair.
Indiana is 10.
They are 10. Okay.
They are 10.
Thank you. So because it's Indiana and not a team like Michigan, that's why they're 10. First of all, let's talk about this for a minute. You are not so far removed from losing seasons. So when you get a chance to sit at the big boy table, I'm going to need you to come in, sit down, and watch your mouth. Because clearly this guy has a mouth that will run constantly. And I can chirp with the best of them. But that Saturday afternoon in Columbus, you wrote a check that your football team could not cash.
So I know we've had this friendship for a while. This podcast it's in its infancy, and I'm afraid what I'm about to say may make this experiment very short-lived.
Ooh!
But I'm going to come to the defense of Kirk Cignetti.
Okay.
Now we know his infamous call last year. He gets hired. He's at the IU basketball game, and he says Purdue sucks. Okay, and they beat Purdue pretty handily. He then says defending national title holders, Michigan sucks, and you know what? Indiana went and beat Michigan.
Beat is generous. They escaped Ann Arbor.
Dub's a dub. Dub's a dub.
5 points, and they almost gave away. But continue.
And then he said, Ohio State sucks too. And, obviously that did not prove to be true as Ohio State handed it to him and let them know about it as they ran up to score at the end of the game. But I actually got into a YouTube comment war because I made the comment, and I don't know if you saw afterwards, Cignetti came out and said, that team's better than us. We didn't play good enough. I tip my cap to him, which is what every coach should do when they lose. You say, you take the blame. Okay, I was a head varsity coach 4 years. I know the game. You take the blame. You never put it on your kids. It's not your kid's fault. You take the blame. He did that, and then he tipped his cap to his opponent, which, that's, if you're teaching a PR class to coaches, that's how you handle this. And, I had made the mention that, Kirk Cignetti could teach a thing or two to Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
And who would ever thought LSU fans would actually be in that YouTube comment section? But anyway, I digress. Cignetti handled it well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I have not heard what you're about to tell me, so I'm excited to hear why we're going after Kirk Cignetti tonight to finish our pod.
So yeah, to really quick, and I will actually say you're not wrong. His press conference after the Ohio State game was a masterclass in what a head coach should say after a loss where you kind of were really, really talking some smack before.
By the way, I'm sorry, but Ryan Day probably could take some notes too. But
I don't know if there's enough notebooks for Ryan Day, the things that he needs to write down. But again, that will be it next week. However, the final CFP rankings came out today. As we mentioned, Ohio State has taken on Tennessee in the shoe, 8:00 game. But
oh, you can't even see that. Terrible product placement.
I have no idea what you were just trying to show me.
I was trying to show the brackets, but obviously I don't understand how light refracts off of computer screens because I was a B student in science and not an A. Okay.
So, Indiana is actually ranked number 10. That you thankfully corrected me for as we were prepping. So Cignetti comes out and he's got something to say about it. Now, mind you, this is the first time that Indiana has been in the college football playoff picture. It's been the first time in a very long time for them to be going for, anything.
Let's be honest. Probably since Lee Corso, right? In the 70s?
That's entirely possible.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, like they have not been a relevant team since him.
Right. So Cignetti comes out and he's like, he's pleading his case and he's saying that, if you take out this factor and you go by just the PF4 alone, that we're outscoring our opponents 40-17. But just because our name is Indiana and not Michigan, that's why we're ranked where we are. And Kurt, my new friend, we kind of talked about this before with end zone celebrations, and it's kind of relevant here too. So this is kind of your first trip to the big boy table, especially in the Big Ten, in college football playoff history. It's your first trip to the big boy table. You may want to act like you've been here before. You're not brand new. The reason you're ranked 10th, is because you have a 10-2 schedule, or 11-1.
11-1 they finished, yeah. Good year.
11-1.
Good year.
Which again, that is fantastic for that program. I am so excited for the kids. I'm so excited for the fans because for the longest time they have not had either winning seasons or, they've gotten a consolation bowl game. But you also have a strength of schedule that is in a sub-basement right now. Yeah, you're beating teams, 56-7. And then the first time you actually play a team that has some teeth to them, and granted, it's a Michigan squad that's not at full strength, let's be honest. Take the game out of it, but a Michigan squad that is completely not at full strength from what they have been. And you and I think we can agree on that. But you escape Ann Arbor with a 5-point win, and that was gracious. And that was because Sharon Moore wanted to play ring around the quarterback. But your next stop is Columbus. And after you come out and you want to talk all sorts of games, so you come into our house and we let you know where it was. And I fully maintain that is why the pace of that game is what it was. And first of all, where was that fight all season for the Buckeyes? They came out, they were playing mean, they were playing with a chip on their shoulder, and they had something to prove because they did. And they put the exclamation on it at the end with the final touchdown. Google the score.
So, I apologize.
You're fine.
No, I just, is he actually right? Or if they're 11-1 and they're Michigan, they're playing in the Big Ten championship, whatever. The problem is you have to look at the conference that carried Indiana. Okay, if they're not in the SEC or the Big Ten, they're not in the playoff. unless they win a conference title. And I really agree with you. You really hit some really good points there, that you have to establish the fact that you're going to be a predominant program. Let's see where you are next year. And if you repeat this next year, if you get 1-0, whatever loss, you play a Big Ten title game, start talking. But once a year, and we talked about strength of schedule. They were like 110 before the Ohio State game. The Ohio State game alone, being number 2 in the nation when they played, brought them up to 52. And then when they go back and play Purdue, what was their strength of schedule after the Purdue game?
106. I believe.
Yeah, so they dropped another 50 spots. Like, that's insane. And once again, I believe you play who's on your schedule, you beat who's on your schedule. And Indiana did that, and they are deserving to be in the playoff.
Right.
They're not deserving to host a game.
Right. Like, and my partner made a really, really good comment earlier this afternoon. We were kind of talking about it. And he said, have Indiana play Michigan's schedule this year.
Yeah.
First of all, defending national champions had, I want to say it was 55 seniors leave last year.
They had, I mean,
4 on deck this year.
They had those 10-year seniors from COVID there on that team, right. So they had a ton on the team. Yeah.
Right. So you're the defending national champions, and so week 3, you've got a Texas team that is playing at week 3 on all 4 cylinders.
They were the number 1 team in the nation.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you're Indiana, and again, if you want a seat at the big boy table, go out and play that schedule and tell me what your record is. Go out and play Ohio State's schedule this season. So
I'm a believer. You just need to get into the dance. Yeah. And this is why Kirk Scanetti should not even worry about what he's worrying about. And he just adds credence to what you're saying. You got into the dance. You got a chance. Mm-hmm. You're one of 12 teams that has a chance at a national title now. Okay. Mm-hmm. If once again, if you're in, say, the old whatever, non-Power 5 conference, you're not in. It doesn't matter anyway. But you got in. You're going to play for a natty. Go out there and just prove it on the field.
Right.
You have a chance to prove it on the field. Why do you got to talk? Why do you got to be upset about your ranking? I had to sit there and listen to Nick Saban today go insane because Alabama didn't get in there. Alabama lost to a terrible Oklahoma.
Who's really upset about their rankings or lack thereof? Alabama.
Right.
Who's really upset about their ranking or lack thereof? Miami.
And that's the.
Sit at number 10 and be a little grateful here for Kurt.
And that's the thing. I'm one of those guys cheering that Alabama's out. Like I respect Nick Saban. I honestly think Nick Saban's a really good dude outside of football. But I'm a Buckeyes fan and I hate Bama. It's just, Ohio against the world. But Indiana plays Bama's schedule. Mm-hmm. They're a 4-loss team, at least. And I understand that's why Alabama is arguing that they should be in. And I get that. So just be happy you're in.
Right.
Just be happy you made the dance, and that is an accomplishment. And have a little humble pie with it. And go out there and prove it on the field. And if you're right about this, your team will go out there and they'll hoist a national championship, and you'll bring that back to Bloomington, and you'll get your statue. They'll probably bronze a statue of you this winter. But until that point, don't.
It's sitting in the cart right now. They haven't clicked, complete order, but it's sitting in the cart. I think.
Yeah, but you're 100% right. Until you do it on the field, okay. Before you do it between the lines, just go out there, give your best effort. If the cards fall where they fall and you win a natty, which, none of us think they're going to do, but if they do, who knows? I mean, they could beat SMU. They got SMU the first round. They could beat Boise. They got Boise the second round. Like, they have probably the easiest path.
Right.
Where Ohio State, who was ranked higher, they get a home game, but they have a much harder path because if they beat a good Tennessee team, they get Oregon again. Once again, on the West Coast.
Real quick. So is it going to be a true rematch game? Like, are we going back to Eugene? Or
No, it'll be the Rose Bowl. So the quarterfinal games are actually bowl games, and
okay.
So the last 6 are the Big 6 bowls. So your quarters and your semis, and then the national championship it will be the last one.
Okay, yeah. So for some reason, I just had a little space moment. That
no, but once again though, you're going to the West Coast. You're going to play in probably good weather. You're playing in Pasadena.
Right.
A lot of things are going to favor. And Oregon will travel well to Pasadena. Ohio State will travel well. They travel well everywhere, but it's going to be a split stadium, and but it is a neutral field, and I think Ohio State, I still think that was crap. The offensive pass interference they called on Jeremiah Smith, and I think Ohio State should have won that game, but. You know what? They lost to Michigan, and they have no right to talk, nor do I, nor does Kirk Sandetti.
That's right.
Wrapped
so we
it
can
around.
Talk more about our path to, that goes through the Rose Bowl next week.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely get more into it. But I think for this week, I think we both ranted. We both raved. So I do believe with that being said,
please like and subscribe to the I-71 playbook here on YouTube. Tell your friends if you enjoyed this banner. Once again, we are just starting out and we're just kind of learning this, but we have a lot to say and we really like to say it in front of friends and people, and yeah. But yeah, please like and subscribe. And even if you didn't like it, it doesn't cost you anything. Just like and subscribe. We want to get that favorable YouTube algorithm.
We love YouTube. Hi, YouTube.
We love YouTube.
However, from the dog pound to the shoe and everything in between, I'm BB.
I'm BC.
And this is the I-71 Playbook Podcast.